Connor Allen, who does an awesome job talking betting as a, and fantasy football for our friends at BetSperts and 4 for 4. You should be following him on Twitter. Great information, whether you bet or not, at Connor Allen NFL. My friend, welcome back to the show. And again, congratulations. Happy draft week.
Yeah, appreciate you having me on. This is just an incredible week. I'm going to be sitting in front of my monitor watching the prices move, and hopefully can scoop some value here and there. But always good to talk ball and see what the latest bets we should be making is, because at this point the portfolio is getting quite large.
Yeah, so Connor, and that's why I said you should be following Connor, because he's been tweeting about this stuff. He's deep in them streets, the draft betting streets. And look, like, just to say this to our audience who may be like who are not sports bettors, right? And this new, like, bigger national audience that we have here on the show, the NFL draft is not the, like, betting opportunity that it was a number of years ago. We don't have to get into the reasons why it'll take too much time, but there definitely still is opportunity to make money in case you want to toss a couple bucks down. And I think this is a fun way to think about what we might see happen in the NFL draft as well tomorrow night. So Connor, why don't we start with this? We know Mendoza's going first to the Raiders. At number 2, we basically hear insiders go back and forth every day. Will it be Texas Tech's David Bailey or Ohio State's Arvell Reese to the New York Jets? The betting market seems to be doing one big shrug emoji right now. At BetMGM, Bailey and Reese are both minus prices. Bailey minus 125, Reese minus 105. I don't know if you will bet it, but if you had to bet that right now, number 2 overall, what do you think is the better bet and why, Reese or Bailey to the Jets?
Yeah, I'm going to go with Arvell Reese at this point. We've seen national insiders flip-flop multiple times, but a lot of the big ones who just released their mocks, we're talking about, the Peter Schrager's of the world, have basically said, we don't know, and if you say that you're probably wrong. So it seems like all the national insiders are kind of throwing their hands up in the air, and so are sportsbooks. Like you said, both are minus odds right now. I think that they're just kind of happy, maybe taking some action at this point and keeping it close. So I'm going to go with Reese. I think there's been a couple of, dot connecting here early in the process, and just like schematically and logically, it makes a ton of sense. I personally think that the canceled visit was another sign that it's going to be a Reese here. Like, I went back and looked historically. Like, I think there's 2 ways to look at that logically, right? But historically, like, there's no precedent for a team canceling a visit and then taking the guy. Like, there's been teams who have drafted the guy without a visit, or have drafted a guy, obviously draft a guy with the visit, but there's not really much precedent for a team in the top 5 canceling a visit and then drafting them anyway. So generally doesn't happen. I would be surprised at this point. I'm going to go with Reese here at minus 105.
And Reese is minus 105 currently right now at BetMGM. Connor, well, we'll get to Jeremiah Love in a second, but in addition to Love, the big name in both betting circles and kind of just like real life in the NFL draft is Arizona State wide receiver Jordan Tyson. It felt like he was going to go maybe mid-first round like 2-3 weeks ago. And now could he go 5th overall to the New York Football Giants? How are you betting Jordan Tyson in the NFL draft? And is there anything there you think to him potentially going as early as 5 to my Giants?
Yeah, I think his range now is almost like in the 5 to 10 to be clear, but when you look at the thought process of if you're the Giants here, you get to pick 5 and you probably want a defender and you probably want an offensive guy. If you really like Jordan Tyson, if he's your wide receiver 1, Malik Neighbors is coming back from injury. You lost Wan'Dale Robinson in the offseason. Their wide receiving core right now is like Darnell Mooney and I think Darius Slayton is the other guy. So not a whole lot for Jackson Dart to work with at this point. So you look at all that, I would feel more comfortable at getting Jordan Tyson at 5 and then one of like a Sonny Styles, Caleb Downs, Mansour Delane. One of those guys probably is falling to 10. I would guess at this point. So like, I don't think the flip-flop, the inverse is true, right? Like, if you take a Sonny Styles at 5, I don't think that Jordan Tyson makes it past the Saints at 8, makes it past the Commanders who are interested in wide receivers or trading down at 7. And the Browns have been, I think the Browns might take, pennies on a dollar to move down a little bit from 6 too, to be honest. So like, there's a lot of different opportunities for Jordan Tyson to go before your 10th pick. So right now, Jordan Tyson's like, plus 260 we're looking at here to go 5th overall. And then there's been a ton of smoke from national insiders saying like the Giants don't want Sonny Styles. So if they don't want Sonny Styles, like, are they going to take a safety over their wide receiver 1? Are they going to take, Delane? No, I don't think so. So I think there still could be some value on Tyson at going 5.
You said something really interesting there. And to be clear, like, I agree, but I'm curious how you think it could potentially play out. So what you said was you think that one of Styles, Downs, or Mansour Delane could slip to 10. My guess is it would be Downs is the most likely because of the position he plays. So if that happens, what do you think we see in the top 10 that pushes one of these guys down? And you can speak about this. This is all probability, right? This doesn't have to be like a set in stone prediction, but what's something you could see happening? A team throwing a curveball, maybe another player going earlier than expected that would push one of those guys down the board.
Yeah, I think two key like inflection points here, right? So pick 6, the Browns, like I think earlier on in the process were mocked Carnell Tate a lot. It seems to be that people are shifting away from that more towards Spencer Fano. Maybe it's one of the other tackles or offensive linemen. So if they go offensive linemen, that starts to push some of the defensive guys down. And from there, the Chiefs are kind of a wild card there. Maybe they take Reuben Bain. Maybe they, I certainly not shy on some of the, taking players with issues. And so I think that could be an interesting one. Or they take another offensive lineman. So like I think those are 2 points there where that pushes one of the crew of Styles, Downs, Delane to that 10 point there if those 2 are not defensive players. Now they could be. I mean, that's certainly could be, but I think it would go against, I don't know if trends is the right word, needs, like some combination of all of that, I guess, at this point here. So that's kind of how I'm envisioning it. And I think Delane is decently likely to make it there, to be honest, as well. But maybe it's Downs. I don't know. I have a tough time putting Downs at any spot. There's some rumblings to Washington. Team needs, I don't think really, say that. Same with the Saints. Like it just doesn't really like line up on paper. So again, could be wrong there.
You better you bet on this Wednesday. Westwood One Sports. Nick Costos here with you, presented by BetMGM. Our guest giving us bets for the 2026 NFL Draft, and a great way to think about the draft is our friend Connor Allen from BetSperts and 4for4 on Twitter, and you should follow him there. Lots of great information at Connor Allen NFL. Let's talk the wide receivers overall, like as a group in this draft. At BetMGM, Connor, the total wide receivers drafted in the first round, the number is 5.5. The over is juiced to minus 190. So the betting market is expecting 6 or more receivers to go in round 1. Do you see it that way?
Yeah, I do. And so if you're going through it right here, you're looking at Carnell Tate, Jordan Tyson, looking at a couple other guys as well. It basically comes down to Denzel Boston. Does Denzel Boston go in the first round? And so at this point, I think that the Browns are really interested in at 24, but there's also a lot of wide receiver needy teams in that back chunk of the first round. And like we consistently over the last couple of years have seen wide receivers that, in my opinion, didn't really have much business being a first-round pick and thrown in there. The Xavier Legette's, the Ricky Pearsall's, the Keon Coleman's of the world, like all these guys end up getting pushed up. And so I think Boston could be in play for the Bills. He could be in play for the 49ers. Could be in play for the Dolphins after losing Jalen Waddle. Like there's just so many outs here. But when you have KC Conception also almost certainly going, you have Omar Cooper almost certainly going. Like these are all guys that are very much going to be there. And the Mekhi Lemon is also going to be gone before, pick 17. So I feel pretty good about 6+ wide receivers going. I don't think we get a 7th if it ends up moving there. I don't think we'll even get a 6.5 number. But I do think that Boston is a good look to go in the first round.
And again, those 6 receivers would be Casey, in no particular order. Casey Concepcion, Mekhi Lemon, Carnell Tate, Jordan Tyson, Denzel Boston, and Omar Cooper. You said something interesting to me during the break when we were just shooting the bleep about the draft. You had an interesting angle on a team not picking Connor in round number 1. That is the Jacksonville Jaguars, who will come on the clock for the first time in round 2. What do you have for us on Jacksonville?
Yeah, so they have a bunch of mid-round picks. And basically the rumblings are, this is like, I kind of try and pick, sort through the tea leaves of like these later round picks here, because when the team is picking later, there's way more volatility. So if you scroll down the board here and you look at Jacksonville Jaguars, who just lost Travis Etienne, formerly known as ETN, we're looking at just Bashal Tuden, who I don't know if they really like that much, to be honest, at this point. It seems like maybe he's okay.
The fantasy football community, we like Bashal Tuden. I don't know if the Jaguars like him that much, sadly.
I mean, Bashal Tuden has a stone created for him by a fantasy football community at this point, like a statue. But I think that the Jags could trade up for a running back. They're rumored to really like Jadarian Price. They're rumored to really like some of the other guys. Like, I think that it could make a ton of sense is that they trade up or just are stick and pick a running back. So you're looking at 18-1 right now on MGM, show sponsor there. So I think that's fantastic odds. Again, when you get this far, you should not be laying the chalk with D-line and edge here. You should be taking something further down the board.
Do you have anything? And if the answer is no, it's okay. Is there anything with any of the quarterbacks outside of Mendoza, Simpson or otherwise?
It's tough. I think in my final mock draft, I'm going to have Simpson 32 to the Cardinals. Seahawks are I mean, I think Daniel Jeremiah said it's like a certainty that they're trading out. The GMs said today, like, we need to trade back and get more picks. So I feel pretty good about it.
And like, he also said, Connor, like, and we're willing to trade in the division, which I said yesterday on the show. He's basically like, hey, Arizona, like you want Ty Simpson, come get him.
Yeah, so I'm hoping, and I think sportsbooks are lining more and more picks. Like we're up to like 28 in some spots. If we get 32, I'm gonna bet Simpson there. I'm not laying the chalk on Simpson minus 250 to the Cardinals, but I do think that I think he's gonna be a first round pick. That's what I would say at this point.
Give me one other bet that you like. Could be anything you like in the 2026 NFL draft for our audience and for me.
We're going to go with the Carolina Panthers to pick a safety, particularly Dylan Thieneman. They have pick 19. They're rumored to be interested in trading up. They apparently really like him, and everyone and their mothers has Dylan Thieneman going to pick
Vikings.
18 for the Vikings.
Yeah.
And I'm just not
including
buying
me, by the way, including me in the what I would do mock draft coming up in a little bit here. I have that as well.
And I do too, honestly, for a little bit, but I'm changing for the final one. When a player at pick 18 is plus like better odds to go 18 than like any of the other picks up to pick 6, like I don't know, it just doesn't pass the smell test to me. Something's going to change. Like it never works out that way unless it's Najee Harris and the Steelers. That's basically the only other time that I can remember.
That was like the owner was basically like, yeah, like we need to improve the run game.
Yeah.
So it's like, there you have it. Hey, you're the best, dude. Connor does a tremendous job on social media and otherwise, but like, I really want to promote your Twitter account because I think you give great information on the NFL, fantasy football, betting the National Football League. So if you like football, and I'm guessing you do, at Connor Allen NFL, BetSperts and 4 for 4. My man, thank you for coming on the show. Good luck on the bets. Congratulations on the impending addition to the family, and we'll talk soon.
Thanks so much for having me on, Nick, and appreciate the kind words.
My friend Connor Allen joining us here on You Better You Bet. I'll tell you what, just not to do like the hokey parent thing here. When we did the gender reveal for my daughter, I wanted a boy. And I feel like most men, look, you want a happy and healthy, that's what people, what you should want is a healthy kid. Well, duh, of course. Like I want my kid to be healthy. That's what's most important. But I think if most men are being honest, you want a boy. Because you're a man, right? So you want to raise a boy. So when the balloon pops and it's pink, I'm like, okay, like this is great, but probably would have rather it been blue. Now that I have a daughter, there's no words for it. And not that I wouldn't feel the same. I'm sure I'd feel the same way if I had a boy, but it has been the greatest thing that's ever happened to me in my life. And being a girl dad has filled me with a joy that is absolutely indescribable. I'm so fired up for my friend Connor, and that ends the hokey dad portion of the program.